Good evening and welcome to my podcast Career Bites. We are giving you so much information, tips, tactics, and so many things to help succeed in your career. Today's guest is Shramona Niyogi. I met her, I'm sorry, I came in contact with her around 3 or 4 years back.
Yes.
Since then, we are in touch, and at, nowadays she is a research scholar in Bellwood Institute of Technology. Before that, she joined corporate sector at a very good package, but to follow her calling, to follow her passion, she left that high-paying job, and now she is doing teaching as well as research in Bellwood Institute of Technology. She's doing very well. I'm proud of her because I proud the persons who follow their passion because that's where the true happiness, the true success lies. Thank you so much, Romana, for joining my show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me here.
So, start. Uh, I want you to tell your story starting from your college days, if you are
Sir,
comfortable
we
with.
both know each other back from my college days. Even that is where, in PGDM, we are taught how networking can help us build our career. And doing that networking, I can build a great corporate connection. Doing a PGDM or an MBA, so-called MBA, always looks for good package. Like if I'm doing an MBA, I want a package that will justify my ROI. When I have invested this much money in my MBA, I'm looking for a good ROI, good return. That was also my target back in my PGDM days. I was extensively behind placements. I wanted to grab the best of the opportunities. I won't lie, I was behind it. Our PGTM course offers dual specialization. So I was doing HR and retail management. My dual specialization was HR and retail. So I always wanted a job in human resource. I was, and there is a common notion that if you're a girl, you can shine in HR. Even I had that. I wanted to be a HR professional. But we all know that HR placements comes a little late in compared to marketing placements. When people like my hostel mates who are living just in the room behind me, when my own roommate started getting placements, I couldn't keep the patience. I also wanted yes, I absolutely wanted a placement. Like, okay, I have a good placement. And again, I had a peer pressure. I was like the topper at Jaipur. Even in my retail, I was the batch topper. So I had this extensive peer pressure being built up. You are the topper, you don't have a placement.
Yes, yes,
Now
yes.
I was absolutely now no HR. I want a placement. That could be anywhere. I am the topper. Like my ego has to be satisfied. I want a high placement. So I went for this marketing. Now then I started sitting for marketing placements as well, and I got associated with a company, and that was on the higher side of the package. There's an average package, below average, on the higher side. So I was on the higher side of the package. My ego satisfied. I
Yes.
was the trainee business development executive. My ego got satisfied. I good job. Like everyone in the hoardings, you have placed. My social media handles told placed. My friends tagged me. WhatsApp status called placed. Extremely happy. I felt that everything that I wanted accomplished. I came to MBA, I spent this much of money, my ROI return all going good. Well, I joined the company in Bangalore. They had given a very nice 3-star hotel. I was staying this 1 month training period. You have the hotel room, very nice, alone, very good. Then I joined them. First few days, fine, it's a training. You get to know about the company, you get to know what you have to do. Somewhere I was like, is this what I wanted to do? I didn't have that enthusiasm I had back in my college, that every morning I'm just ready. Like I have my as a topper, I always had my projects ready. I always had my work done. So every day I'm enthusiastic. I can, like, you call me 7 a.m. in the morning, I'm all ready with everything. But somewhere when I joined them back then, I had my hotel room. They were paying for my room rent, like 1 month, my meals. But every morning, somewhere I didn't have that, like, I want to go to job. Like, I wanted this. I'm so excited. I got new clothes to join my company. I had everything. But every morning, my fiance used to call, okay, you are not going. I don't feel like going. Why don't they give me a day's leave? You have just joined the company. You want to leave now? This kept happening every evening. I used to return. I used to lament over it. This, I'm not liking this. Everyone, like my friends, my fiance, he is much experienced in this sector. So you have just joined it. What is to like it, not like it? Give it some time. You may love it. And this is not happening. Then sitting in the room that your company has given you and thinking of rejecting them is a hard decision or a hard call
Yes,
to
yes, I
take,
understand.
because my father went to Bangalore to drop me there. Huge luggage, nice room. Sitting there, I had this thought. I had to convince my parents. I had to convince my fiance. I had to convince my company. I do not think that I need to go. But somewhere, I decided that I wake up in the morning and I was like, I don't want your breakfast. I want my backpack. I don't want tickets. I'll go to the airport. I'll see what happens. I'll figure it out. I don't want to stay here. It was the job, or I don't know what happened. I couldn't continue it. So that morning, I left. I left from Bangalore. I came back to Calcutta. People, I would say, were not welcoming. No, that was not true. My parents, my family is extremely supportive. They were like, you could have given it a try, but if you don't want, fine, we will figure it out. We can do something else. I didn't stop my corporate journey till then. I thought I wanted to be an HR. Maybe this marketing job is not
Yes.
suiting me. I can give HR a try. Then I joined a consultancy, HR consultancy. That was a small organization, that was not that big, but yes, it was a HR consultancy. Then I motivated myself. I wanted to be an HR professional. Maybe this would suit me, this would give me an opportunity. I started working there in an HR consultancy. Like, I thought, oh, it's very fancy. Unemployment is at its peak, and I'm giving jobs. Like, people will hold my legs. "Oh, you are the goddess out here. You're giving us job." Now, there I realized that in marketing you have a product to sell. Like, you're giving money, you have the product. In HR, I'm selling the company. I do not have a product. Like, this is the USP. I'm selling the entire company. That is much a task to do.
Yes.
That is when I realized that sales is in every nooks and corners of life. I cannot run away from this. Back in my company, I was given at least a product. I was given a USP. Here, I do not have that. Yeah, even that is missing. But back then, I had to do a lot of calling, and somewhere it became a little monotonous for me. Like, every morning you go up, you call like hundreds of people. You want to come for interview, you want to come for interview. No, and people are not wanting jobs. What? And that somewhere, I believe, one thing that happened while I was working in that consultancy, they also provided training and placements. As a new joinee, I was not taken to that training part in the beginning. But one day there was some person assistance missing. That they told me, like, you want to assist the trainer? I was like, okay, new thing, no problem. I wanted to give it a try. There I felt very involved. I loved that process. Like, then I had this. Now trainer, he is giving a speech, people are listening, he's engaging people in different activities. That is when I felt, now this is something which I would love to do. Even back from, like, a teacher is the first person every child idolizes.
Yes.
Even back when I was a child, I used to play teacher. My mother is a teacher, my uncle is a professor. So that game I played a lot. I have a lot of practice playing that game. What do I say, from class 1-2 I'm playing that game. Again, this inspired me. Now this is something I would love to do. But I continued working in the consultancy. I won't lie, I have learned Excel, what I know today, advanced Excel I've learned in the consultancy. I've learned to interact with a lot of people over calling. I've learned those things, but still I worked in the consultancy for three and a half months out there. But then I thought, okay, I'll give it, it's not that I'm not liking it, but this is not what I want to do. I want to go for academics. As a fresher, like that is the year I graduated. So as a fresher, it was hard to find a college, but back in Kolkata, back in my hometown, I found a college. Then they didn't take me as a whole or a full-time professor. They took me as a part-time professor where they paid me for classes. But my package, if I say, that was somewhere in the, what do I say, top, that came out to be like,
Yes.
daily I'm earning. If I have one class, earning for that class only. But I loved what I was doing. The students, they are an enormous source of encouragement. Every morning meeting them, they have a lot of questions. Somewhere they're teasing each other. That took me back to a whole lot of enthusiasm. Then I decided, if it is paying me low, I don't have issues. Of course, as a new joinee in the, in the earning thing, I had this, I want to earn more. I have people from my college who are in the corporates, they're earning this big. But somewhere I don't know, this is what I want to do. Corporates is not the place where I want to go back. It's not good and bad, that is a relative thing. I somewhere realized that my personality, my traits doesn't fit in there, but this academic gives me inner peace. My traits are something which matches here. People are loving me a lot, they're praising me out here, even I am good with them. That is when I thought, I do not want to go back, I'll continue. In a span of 6 months, I joined them as full time. I was involved in their uh, university activities, their co-curricular, and I continued to do it. I was doing them. Back when the pandemic started happening, I read a lot of, now in, if I'm in academics, PhD is something which
Understand.
which is
Yes.
the need for the hour. Even back in my PGDM days, I was interested in research. From my PGDM days, I had written a research paper pertaining to change management, the models. Research paper was something I was in touch with. I knew, like, but not that much. I was publishing articles, publishing papers. I was doing that. During the pandemic, what happened? I came across a lot of economists taking this stand that this is the right time you invest in education.
Yes.
Like this 3-4 years is very good if you invest in education. Then I thought, if and I did a lot of research, I found out economics, like worldwide, they are talking about this. Then I thought, okay, then this could be probably the best time I put into my research. I'll put more time in research. That is when I got an opportunity from Vellore Institute of Technology, a stipend, a research associate here. And here also I am taking classes, and but maximum chunk of my time I'm giving in my research. That is how I landed up here.
So good to hear. And now you are in home turf, you can say. Your mother was teacher, and also you are in home turf of teaching, you can say. That you are so familiar with that.
Yes. In my family, my mother is a teacher. She like my earliest of the teachers, her colleagues, they were all my teachers. My uncle is a professor, so I had this trend in my family. So I knew that yes, this is a career option, but somewhere the trigger happened when I was in the corporate.
Yes. So coming to these two things, corporate sector and that educational academician, you can say. So just compare a day in your life as a corporate and as a academician. So how you compare the two things?
It has a lot of differences. I would say in terms of freedom, in terms of independence, in academics, if jobs, you have responsibilities, equal responsibilities in both the sector, but how you fulfill your responsibilities, the freedom that you get in academics is very wide. Whereas corporates, specifically in Indian context, they do not give you that much freedom. It's very monotonous. They have a set responsibilities and a set way of fulfilling those responsibilities. But whereas in academics, you have the responsibilities, you have to deliver the subject, but how you do it, it's absolutely on your call. You can have role plays, you can give just a lecture, you can have a PPT. It is how you engage your students. But in corporate, it was like, this is your responsibility and this is the guideline how you have to do it. That paths away the way. And I am a person, like, I do not neither do I micromanage people, neither do I like micromanagement. I have seen a lot of my friends, they do believe in micromanagement. They need for them that is the right fit, but I have never been fond of this micromanagement. That I believe micromanagement is what differentiates corporates from academics.
And what about the personal growth in the two domain?
Personal trait, there is no such difference in personal trait to prosper today in this globalized situation or this extensive competitive place. You have to be like communicative. You have to know to communicate in the right words in the right place. In both the places you have to know. But yes, I believe in academics communication becomes more sharp, because that is what you are selling at the end of the day. Communication is the key. Maybe in corporates, depending upon your sector like finance, HR, marketing, the skills might change, but in academics across variety of subjects, communication remains the key.
Okay, here you consider that accepting lower package, but maybe
Yes.
we all are human being, we all want money. So when you think 10 years later or 20 years later, so what do you think about the financial growth? Do you think you will have the sufficient financial growth in this domain or in that sector, and satisfaction as well, Apu?
uh, I had this thing, I had heard this back from my PGDM days, like maybe from a seminar or from somewhere, like till 30 you learn, after 30 you earn. I took that a little more seriously. Actually, I needed what I call it, what we call it bahana, like to leave my package behind and come out of that thing. So that thing strived me a lot, that till 30 you learn, after 30 you earn. That triggered me, okay, I'm not yet 30, maybe I can learn more, maybe after 30 I can earn a lot of bucks, something like that. But no, academics, if you in academics, if you are constant or you like consistent in research, academics has huge scope. If you learning new opportunities and you don't like laid back, the skills I have, that will help me grow. If that is not the thing, academics also has huge earning opportunity. And in academics, this is the trend, like you start a little late, but career wise there's a good growth if you are open to have a laid back, like now I have joined an organization, I can teach in the organization forever. I do not need to grow my skills or upgrade that. But today, thinking of the competitiveness, thinking of the new culture that is coming in education, people need like even academicians need to get themselves upgraded
Yes.
every now and then. If that is the trend, then earning wise, it I would say it has the opportunity to even surpass the corporates. Might be my friends who had joined corporates 2 years or 3 years back, after just after their PGDM, hadn't seen this much of hike. Maybe I am a little behind them, but I have seen a lot of hikes happening. And even I hope to have it once I receive my doctoral degree or something. So their growth is a little slow, and this has a steady growth. Again, if you are open to learning in academics, if you say I have got this job, I'm going to be here forever, then a laid back. But if you're open to learning, it has huge scope in terms of financial aspect as well.
So good, so optimistic. And so Mona, for the moment, consider we are on, I think today is 22nd March 2021. Okay, consider we are here on 22nd March 2040. So who are you now and what are you doing?
I want to be a not just academician. I want to be a change manager or a change consulting person who will help people embrace changes.
Very
That
good.
could be academics. I would be in my academics till the time I leave. I love being with students all around. They are extremely encouraging people. Young people are like, they're extremely encouraging, especially graduates, even not like MBA, BBA or this what we call them engineering. They are very, very dynamic personalities. I will be there, but with that I also want to be a change agent or we call it change professional, who would help people or organization bring in changes in much managed, in much organized way. Change is the constant of life. Now this pandemic has shown us how fatal or how big a change can be, and I believe this will keep happening if you're not prepared for it. They lose employees, even the employees they are in the organization, they do suffer a lot of mental pain and all. So change management is something that help organizations to embrace people or leave behind people in a much good way. I believe that would be something I will be doing. That is what I want to do at least in coming years.
Now,
And academics, of course, I'll hold on to academics forever.
okay, but one thing, you have tasted the corporate culture and you have so many friends and working in corporate sector. So maybe I'm talked about 2040 is that's why, because do you want to expand your limit or extend your wings to the corporate sector as well in addition to academic, or would you like to limit yourself to only to academics? What is, because you are working in the research field. And
No, I would like to expand it. Like
yes,
I will be in academics. In academics, we have a culture of consulting,
yes,
like consulting
yes.
to the corporates. And that I would specifically love to do, or I'll do in change, in the arena of change. Change is something that people today is realizing, that is how important it is to embrace. So in the arena of change, I would love to expand my wings apart from academics.
That's what I wanted to listen actually, because in the
Yes.
in a classroom it is not possible to see the change. For the change you have to move
yes,
out
for
and
change, that
implement
is
the thing.
industry. Yes, of course, industry or the corporates is the place where we actually practice change management.
Yes.
And in academics, change is in every trimester, every semester, every year. The subject changes, the people changes. That is what I love about academics. Like every trimester I have a new subject to teach.
But not the change or transformation that we are expecting.
Not that, something which I am researching.
Yes.
The models that I'm practicing, that is coming up, not that is particularly for the industry.
Yes. And what about an international exposure, because there are so many researches going on around the world, so many good researchers are doing that. So do you have any plan to move out?
Change. Yes, even no, I do not. That has been a very, I can say that has been a very stigma in my mind. I do not want to settle somewhere abroad, but yes, I would love to pursue my postdoctoral from a good university abroad, because in India the scope for change management is much limited, but across India, in America, in the US, they are working extraordinarily well in the arena of change management. Organizations there have even accepted change management mechanisms. There are organizations who are helping do this kind of things. But if it is in terms of settlement, I would love to settle back again in India. I would never love to settle back somewhere abroad. Yes, I have these plans. Maybe 7-8 years from now, I wish to pursue my postdoctoral research from USA. Particularly from, and not the other place. But no, in terms of settlement, it's a big no. I would love to come back to my.
Just like a good Indian. So, who are the people who influence you? Because you are in the HR domain. Of course, academics is like HR, in fact, because we are work whatever. So, who are your influencers?
To begin with, I believe my mother or my uncle, they were one of the influence I had in very early ages. Like I absolutely loved copying them. I used to wear, I didn't have spectacles back then in my school days. My mother had a very high power. She used to, even I couldn't figure out anything if I wore her spectacles. But back then I used to wear her heels. I used to wear the spectacles and be a teacher, teaching all my this dolls. My uncle was a professor back then. He had newly become he was a young professor, and he used to give tuitions at home as well. So there were a whole lot of students coming to our home, and I being the very youngest member, I was pampered a lot by all of them. So I used to be pretending that I am your teacher, you notes. So from very
I think there is some network problem. Hello. I think we lost her. She must be joining very soon. So yeah, I think in career, following your passion is very, very important. If you are following your passion, it means you are giving your 100% in that. You are making, or rather doing, what is required to be done, because it's your thing. You are not being told to do that thing. You like that thing, you love that thing. That's why you are giving your 100%. And when you are giving your 100% in a certain thing, you will be getting results, achievement, accomplishment. And when you are achieving, when you are accomplishing, you are getting paid whatever you want. It doesn't matter whether you are your own boss or you are working in a company. You will get lots of money. There are people who are earning lots of money because they are following their passion. I think she has joined back. You're mute, I think.
maybe I live in a place where connectivity is a big issue. Sorry, I got disconnected, I guess.
No issue at all. We understand. So, okay, we
So
were at the
growing
an
up,
influencer.
yes, I was talking about my influences.
Yeah.
And growing up, I had teachers who had great impact. My maths teacher, he was a gem of a person. Like, I used to be very stubborn as a kid. Now, if you say me in good words that Shramana, do this, I'll do it. But if you like, why didn't you do this? Then no one can make me do. And he was more stubborn than me. I remember him saying, if you do not do your homework, you will not be the someone who will be punished. I will be punished because I
Yes.
couldn't teach you well. So you couldn't do it. I used to always fear he'll punish himself. Let's not do that. Let's do the homework. So like I loved growing up, I realized how tricky he was as a person who could get the job done out of me. So he is one person who has much impact in my life. Even in my PGTM days, I had professors. I absolutely adored them. Like the way they delivered, the way they taught us a concept. These people have been my great influences.
Very good.
Like there's no some big personality, like people all around me,
Yes.
they
Yes.
have somewhere been my influence.
And who is your role model? Of course, you must be having someone that you look after. Yeah, this is the guy. Yeah, this is the. I want to become like him or like her. Is there anyone around the world?
To say that, to be very specific, while I was doing my bachelorette, I am a bachelorette from a girls college. The principal, I remember Aditi ma'am, she was the principal. I absolutely like, she was very dominant a personality, but she was very subtle in it. She'll never be harsh on you, but you can feel that in what she's saying. You cannot ignore her. Like, I don't know, something sort of powerful she had in her words. Like, she's not harsh, she's not rude, but she's extensively dominant. Like, people will, like, you have to listen to her. So somewhere I always wanted, like, I want to be that strong as a lady. I'm not being harsh, but I'm that dominant, you cannot ignore me. So yes, that Aditi ma'am can be, she's someone I look up to. Like I want to be like her.
Very good, very good. So, because you started your education there, school and college, then PGDM now here. So, would you like to focus on that part as well, or would you like to devote some of your time to improve that education at the primary level or the secondary level somewhere? Because you must have felt that something is lacking there, and we find that after so many years things are still lacking there. So would you like to give some energy and time to improve things?
To be honest, I would say I have been lucky enough that my parents have always like tried to give me the best. Like if I talk about my schooling, I have studied from a Birla school. So I everything
Okay,
was like to the course curriculum, to everything, that was again when it comes to good colleges in Kolkata. To talk about my PGDM, that is once among the top 50 B schools in the country.
very
I
good.
believe my exposure in that terms to find out the I understand your question that there are a lot of things that are left behind, but I would say, as my parents have always tried to give me good, I am somewhere who is lagging behind in understanding what the education needs. If I talk about primary level education, I haven't seen the difficulties in primary level education as such for now. It's not that I don't know about it. I've read about it in newspapers. I've known from other people that yes, these are the problems in primary education. But to be honest, I haven't gone through it. Maybe I have been lucky enough that my parents have
Yes,
always given me the like they have given me the best in terms of education till date. So of course, I would love to look into that aspect, and if I can ever contribute, I would love to do that. But to be honest, I haven't like I'm not aware of that that much. I'm really sorry on that note, but
no, 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 no,
that
nothing.
exposure I didn't have as of now.
Because we live in a country where there are
Yes,
so
of
many
course.
shortcomings. That's why I asked this question. No issue.
Of course. I have read about it, and even at our institute here at Vellon Institute of Technology, we have come up. Our AVP ma'am has come up with a wonderful initiative. This is a campus which is growing, so there are a lot of laborers working in there.
Yes, yes,
They
yes.
stay here, so their children do not have a exposure to basic education even. So our AVP ma'am, Kadambari ma'am, has started this initiative to teach their students as well. I am a part of that initiative as well. So that I understand there is a lackness, but this is what I've just started. If I get an opportunity, I would love to contribute there as well.
Very good, very good. Now, what are the best moment of your life?
Best as in to recall one of the best moments, I was the batch topper there at Jaipuria. So that has been like one of the best moments in my life. Like my I have been like my mother and father both are working, so I had spent a lot of time with my grandmother. So she was very fond of this education. She used to take me to tuitions. She used to sit outside the tuition. She has a lot of effort in getting me the right education. So somewhere that is something I believe, and I'm lucky my grandmother was still there at that point of time. She was still there to see me get that like the gold medal and being the batch topper. So I believe that till date has been the best thing that has happened as of now.
Have you felt the pressure of that top being topper?
That began a pressure at a point. I told you, being the topper, I didn't have a placement like for a long time. My roommate got placed, like in my corridor, everyone got placed. So I somewhere had that ego thing. I'm the topper, I don't have a placement. So that became a burden at point of time. But yes, in the end, that was a great thing.
And now,
A peer pressure was there, but still.
sorry, I lost you. I could not listen the last sentence. And now, what is the scenario now? Because you were the batch topper, So what do you think now in terms of, maybe some thought comes to you that I'm earning this much amount, my friend who was maybe not as good as I was
I had that.
learning.
To be honest, I had that in my mind back when I was there. For 8 9 months I had that. I used to nag about this, to be on with no one, not my family, but to my fiance. I used to nag about this a lot of time. See, what am I doing? I earned this much. I used to nag, but at a point when I realized, my friends started sharing that scene, like we have this pressure, we have that a lot of thing. Then I realized that I'm at least satisfied, that every morning I am like inspired, like yes, I have to, like I have this things to do. I get up on my own, I get to the job. So it took me time to overcome that, but yes, now I have absolutely overcome that phase. Now even as a researcher, I am on a stipend, so I do not earn a salary. Even back 2 years I was earning a salary. Now I don't have a salary, even I have a stipend, but I'm absolutely content that okay, I'm doing research. I had that. I won't lie. I had that nagging thing, but it took me time. I've overcome that thing with the satisfaction that I have. Yes, I love what I am doing. And again, that quote: "Till 30 you learn." I have that hope. After 30, I learned a lot. That gives me. With that, I've overcome that phase.
Coming to quote, is there any quote you live by in addition to the quote that you just mentioned?
Yes, there is a quote. I had read it a long time back. There's a quote by Mark Twain. It is like, things will happen when you start doing it. That I believe in it, because I had joined the other sector. I was doing something different. Even if I had not joined academics with that per hour salary, or what you can say, per hour remuneration, it wouldn't have happened this far. So I believe in Mark Twain when he says that to make things happen, you have to start doing it.
Very good. So
So that is something I believe in. That is something I abide by.
what do you look for in friends when you joined your college and now you move to new territories, new campuses? How you make friends? How you look? I mean, what quality you look for in your friends? Because for new persons who are joining college, it becomes very difficult. How to make friends? What to see in them?
Uh,
Any
to
guideline
be
or?
very honest, I have been this extrovert person all my life. If my parents were here, they could have told this. Like when I was very young, my parents are someone who are much into traveling. Both my father and my mother, they love traveling. As a young girl, we used to travel a lot, like 2 vacations for sure. Now I used to end up making these friends in stations. I used to accumulate all youngsters of my age playing games. Even when I'm traveling in a train, I used to make up, like in the boogie, sitting with someone else playing some games. So I used to do this a lot. I have age old practice in making friends out of. And my parents would have justified it. I do not keep age limits when I make friends. I have oldest of the people as my friends. Like they have been my partners in crime, and I have the youngest of people being my friends. Like I back when I was in Calcutta, one of my very close friend was a 5 year. He was not even 5 back then. 3 4 years old young boy. Like he is one of my father's colleagues' son. He's one of my very friend. He's fond of me, and I'm also very fond of him. We can do anything. We can swim together in the bed. We can discuss how to kidnap someone. And I have oldest of the friends. He is my colleague, Kishore sir. We discuss political debates. So when it comes to friend, to be honest, I can make friend out of any situation, out of anywhere. And I'm in practice in this from a very young age. Being an extrovert, I have this practice. I keep making friends in trains, in buses. I end up, if anyone is not interested, I poke them. Can we talk? Like initiating small talks, you can say that is one of my strengths. I can initiate small talks at any situation. But yes, your question, like what qualities, I do not initially look for any qualities. When I keep limits in friendship, when I find the person suitable to my mental matchings, to my mental likings, then we do have a lot of I do not have much friends, like friends in terms you are talking about. I do interact with a lot of people, but to talk about the mental matching, sharing kind of thing, I do not have a lot of friends. Even in my last organization, I had like one or two colleagues as my very close friends. From my PGDM days, I hold on to four people who are still in like very close contact. We are still on tours and everything. So everywhere, to talk about the closeness, I stick to very few people. But yes, I interact with a lot of people. That when I'm interacting, I do not look for anything. But when it comes to sharing, when it comes to personal spaces, I'm a little picky on it. It is on my mental matching. Like if we are on the same page doing crimes, then yes, we go on together.
And what advice would you like to give to a person who is just in the final year of her graduation or post graduation?
This question comes from my students also a lot of time. One thing that I always, as management, as a faculty in management, BBA students, MBA students, they end up asking this question a lot. Ma'am, what stream should I take? Now I believe, as I told, from my personal experience, I've learned there is nothing which does not have sales in it. So sales is something that you cannot run off. At least in marketing, you have a product. In other things, you are selling in paper, you're selling your company. Sales is something you cannot run off. But yes, one advice that I always say, understand your personality, understand who you are, understand where you can fit in. Do not choose something like marketing. It has a lot of job arena. I also did that. I did that. It has huge companies coming in. Do not flow with that. Understand, and it takes time to understand oneself. I also took my time. I also did my mistakes. But understanding your own personality, where you can fit in, is very important. And one thing I keep saying, that being extrovert doesn't mean you will shine in sales. I have been an extrovert all my life, but it is not about just blabbering around. It takes a lot of I would appreciate people who have constantly shined in that field. It takes a lot of mental effort. It takes a lot many things just being an extrovert. So it is understanding your own self that will help you choose your right path or right thing what you want to do. So I would say, understand your own traits. See if that fit in where you're trying to go. Then only choose that. That would be my only advice. I didn't do that. Back then, I didn't do that. But that would be my advice. Understanding your own personality.
I was just going to say that because a person who is in the final year, maybe in the graduation position, uh, because I have been in the teaching industry and I worked 30 years as a professor, dean, principal, etc., etc. People in their final year, even PG, they are not aware of these things, who I am. It becomes when I, because I am a coach in fact, and I love the counseling, that guiding, etc. So when I think, sir, this is a philosophical question. I tell them that's not philosophical question. It's the question on which your entire life is based. So when you put yourself in that scenario, people do not understand who they are and where they fit in. They don't know. So how you suggest them what they should do? Put yourself in that. So
These days, I believe there are a lot of tools that helps you understand your own personality. There are a lot of organizations that help you understand, in terms of, if I talk about this analytical games and all, there are a lot of stimulations that have come up these days. I know, to a final year student, that does not work well. Even in my PGDM days, I had a journal done by my HR or OB guide, like the SWOT analysis, the trait analysis, but nothing helped. But still, that are something I didn't understood its importance back then. But now I feel, yes, they guided me a lot. I had done my SWOT analysis. I had done my personality, like MBIT personality trait, but I never gave importance to any of that. I never understood that the theories have applicability in real life, but they do have. Like counseling, career counseling, understanding your traits do help a lot in choosing your career. That would be my advice. Do take it seriously. Back in my PGDN days, even I was not taking it seriously, but somewhere with time I have felt, yes, those are the things that help you know yourself much more.
I think 95% do not take it seriously. This is the truth.
Even I didn't. I admit, even I didn't take it. Like I had done it in the first trimester itself. We had a journal where I had done SWOT analysis of my own personality. We had done MBIT of my own personality. I still have the journal, but I didn't abide by it.
And this is the scenario, not only in management institution, whether engineering or whatever. Let's say most of the cases, consider yourself as the head of the institution for the moment. This means that you are the head of your institution, and now you have to chalk out a schedule or a plan so that students get awareness about themselves, their skills, or whatever they have, so that they can choose the right profession. What you would like to do? Maybe a tough question, but yes.
These days, as I told, there are a lot of stimulations, there are a lot of tools, there are a lot of career counseling activities that are games that have come into practice. I would like to take help of those stimulation activities. I would love to take help of career counseling activities. There are games, there are role plays which help you in understanding what you're doing it better. As the head of the institution, I would like to abide by those career counseling activities, games, stimulations, and help students decide themselves that yes, this is the game where I'm fitting in, this is the role play, I'm doing it correct. That role play somewhere helped me understand my choices, so that helps. Maybe that would help the students.
What is your best book that you have read so far?
To be honest, I'm not a fan of inspirational writings, but I'm a big fan of historical fictions. My favorites would be a little weird in taste, but yes, I absolutely love. This is a vernacular writer. Sharadindu Bandyopadhyay. His historical fictions, I do love them a lot. It's not that I haven't read inspirational books, but frankly speaking, I do not love them that much. But historical fictions are something I love. Historical fictions a lot. And to be my favorite, Sharadindu Bandyopadhyay's historical novels. There are many. I've read all of them. Like. Tumi Sondharo Megh. These are all Bengali vernaculars, but I do love them a lot. Tumi Sondharo Megh is, if I say top, that is the writer. If I say the film Devdas, the film Devdas is based on his novel only, but he has written other fantastic historical novels. And my favorite is Tumi Sondharo Megh. There's no movie on this novel as of now. Maybe it would come in coming 2-3 years. But from a very young age, this book I have I can relate to each and every dialogue of each and every character of this book. That is how much I love the book. If you give me now, I can spend the entire night reading it once again when I know the dialogues. Although I love it, I absolutely love it. There are others as well. Tungabhadra Tire. These are all vernaculars, but I love them. I love them.
And what is the meaning of the title in Hindi or English?
These are historical fictions. The Tumi Sondharo Megh is you are the twilight. Sondharo Megh is twilight. These are all historical fictions. It dates back to like from time when India was being ruled by kings. These are historical fictions.
Okay.
It's kind of stories.
Do you make bucket list?
Yes.
Do you make bucket list? Do you have a bucket list?
Yes.
So
yes. I have a lot.
Can you share some?
I have a lot of it. I do make a wish list or bucket list is something for every from my generation, everyone has that. It keeps changing every now and then.
Yes,
like
it should.
I cut off this is I don't need it. This is again I need it. But yes, I do have a lot of bucket list, wish list. I do in my bucket list. If to be elaborate, I have a lot of tour plans. I love this is something that I've got in my blood from my mother and father. I love being on tours. Now I do plan a lot of research papers as well. I won't lie. Now this would relate to this. This data would be applicable. That also I do plan. Not all of them come out to be success. 1% of it comes out to be success. But I do keep a bucket list. And of course, as this generation personality, I do have a lot of materialistic things in my bucket list as well.
I understand.
I won't lie. Yes, I am a little materialistic as a person. As well. I do have a lot of materials in my bucket list as well.
Okay, I understand. Of course.
That keeps up the motivation to go to your workplace next morning.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I have to buy this. I want this. The money credited in my. That keeps us motivated.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So, of course, because you are in teaching, you are in research, for definitely you are going to mentor so many students and maybe the corporates. So, what do you consider? What is your ideal mentee for you? Got me? What is an ideal mentee for you? Or hello? Should I refresh or pass on to the next question?
Hello.
Hello?
Sir, I did. It's not audible.
Okay, okay. Let me tell.
Yes, yes.
You are in teaching.
Please just repeat it once.
Yes, yes, sure. You are in teaching, you are in research. So you are going to mentor so many students or even corporates. So I think we lost her again. Yes, you are here. So you are going to mentor students as well as corporates. How you are going to mentor them, or what is an ideal mentee for you? You are mute. Shravana, you are mute.
Sorry, sir. I live in a place which has very low internet connectivity. It's a rural kind of a place.
I
So
know.
I mentee thing. I'm lucky to have like back in my PGDM days, I had good mentor. Even in my PhD research here, I have a very supporting proctor, or I can say very supporting guide. To talk about my mentees, in my last college also I had students doing project or internship under my guidance. Even here also I have students who are doing projects. I prefer students who can who would not believe in micromanagement again. I see a lot of times there are students, I have to say them everything. Even if I give a project, how to do it, what would be the font size of the title project. Yeah, build upon that. Your title can be in any font, can be in any size. It is upon your outlook. So I believe in mentoring people who do not look for micromanagement, who believes in having their own space. Yes, we can always discuss on the creative parts. We can discuss, but this little things, I believe in freedom. I believe in having space. So I believe I want people who will take their own space in these things.
Very good. And I think that's a good teacher should do, or mentor should do, because I too believe in empowerment, as we discussed. We are not going to spoon
Yes.
feed them. We are going to empower them.
Yes.
Very good.
even back in my college, when people used to ask help for projects, I always used, I'll teach you the way to do your project. I'll guide you in everything, but I'll not do it for you.
Do it yourself.
Now, if my friends are going through this, they'll relate to this. I will always help you. You say, what do you want to know? You want me to explain it? I'll do it to you, but I'll not write your project. That I cannot. I will not. I always abided by this principle. I'm always there to help you. I'll explain you. I'll tell you how to do it, but you have to do it yourself. I'll not write it for you. Even for my mentees, I believe in this. We will discuss on everything, but you have to do it yourself. That is what I want you to do.
Very good. So in your teaching arena where you are working now, so do you think the students who are in the final year, so they are doing enough to be good or to be right for the industry? I think because it is being said that there is a wide gap between the industry and the students who are passing out. So do you think in the case of a institution, are the students right ready for the industry, or do you think a massive training is required for them to fit in?
Of course, a massive training is required. There are two things. First, I'll talk about my last organization where I used to work, and I'll also talk about the organization where I work now. There's a huge difference in the genre of the students, but the gap remains the same. To talk about my previous institution, the maximum chunk of the students, they were all from a middle class or a upper middle class background. Okay, every one of them compulsorily wanted a job. Like they were into the management courses where they want a job. So their perspective was a little different. They are something, they are very motivated, they have to earn, they want a job. Now the organization where I am here today, Vellore Institute of Technology, they have records of very good placements in terms of engineering. They, in private institutions, they always come up in first, second ranks. But one thing, there is a difference in the genre of the students. People who come here to study is basically from upper middle class or upper class background. So they are motivated. They want good jobs, but they do have a financial backing a lot of the times. So their expectations from the industry is quite more.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm being able to explain it correctly. There's nothing negative in it, but they do expect a lot from it because they have been what I could say. They have been like this very cozy life all their when in my other college they were little economically
Yes.
little less stable, so their expectation was little less. They were much like considering the salary part. They were but students in general, even I once when I was a student, they do expect a lot from the corporate industry, and I would blame this to be the web series that we have, the film industry that we have. They have created this hype that the corporate is going to be a very fancy space where you drink coffee, do small talks, involved in grapevine communications. So they have this feature in mind. They do not keep that effort thing in mind. So that is a huge gap that needs, and they never pay concentration on the little skills that is required to survive, not just corporates, in any sector.
Yes.
Not just so the fancy things. I think a reality check is really needed. And yes, that is always needed.
I think we society are also to be blamed for.
Sorry?
We society should be blamed, or should also be blamed for that.
Yes, of course. The contemporary, what we call say, the film industry these days, the web series, they have created a lot of hype surrounding the corporate structure, which is not that open, at least in Indian context at this moment.
It's not.
We
So-
have a lot of hype. Just a single example: work from home or work from anywhere. The culture that is there in the Western countries, the culture that is being shown in Indian web series or content, that is not the reality in Indian companies today. They haven't at least accepted 1% of work from anywhere or work from home culture. But it is a huge thing. Advertisements, product propaganda, we can say, movies, they have showed a lot of hype around it. Students, they get flown away with this.
Okay, so good. So, Sramana, I think we are at the end of that. So, would you
Yes.
like to say that your concluding remark before finishing?
Conclusion would be like, if it is for the new people who are joining the industry or who are preparing themselves to join the industry, one thing that I would love to suggest to all of them: this is an era where you have to be a tech friendly person, be it your Microsoft package, or be it any other. You can always go hands-on with programming. That doesn't matter. You are from management. Even I am from management. I am trying to I am trying to learn R. I am on learning Python. I'm looking forward to it. So these skills are basic skills. What we can say, basic survival corporate skills. You are in any field: literature, arts, management. You're not engineering student, doesn't matter. These are basic survival corporate skills that will help you survive. And of course, a lot of networking. That is like tech friendly and networking that will help people survive in coming days.
So, few years back, it was said that soft skills are mandatory. So now that in addition to soft skills, now the technical skills are also become mandatory in whatever
Very,
field
very
you
much
are.
recommended.
Very good. So thank you so much, Ramana, for sharing your experiences, your wisdom, and so much. And thank you so much. And I would like to invite you again, maybe after a few months or a year, once you have some researches and you will have new things to share, new experiences.
Once I have a new model of mine in change management, I would love to join back
Yeah,
and
see,
share.
yeah.
That might take me years, but yes, I would love to come back and share in this platform again.
Thank you so much. I will
Thank you,
definitely
sir.
come there.
Thank you.
If you come in your campus, I'm planning to come. I don't know when it is to,
Sure,
because I
sure,
have
sure,
some
sir.
friends. If you come there, we will definitely meet. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much and best wishes for your career. See you soon.
Thank you, sir.